Change leaders articulate audacious visions. Leadership learning. On 12th September 1962, John F. Kennedy delivered his "We Choose to Go to the Moon" speech at Rice University. In a moment now preserved in history, he passionately articulated that the United States would commit itself to landing a person on the moon and returning them safely before the decade's end. He told us, "We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard." In a succinct and stirring passage, Kennedy invoked the pioneering spirit, emphasized the urgency and challenge of the moon mission, and rallied public support for what would become the Apollo program. The historical significance of that day extends far beyond the eminent rhetoric. Kennedy's remarks transformed space exploration from abstract possibility into a national mandate. Delivered during the Cold War and the rivalry with the Soviet Union, the speech galvanized public sentiment and propelled political momentum. It spurred expansion of NASA's infrastructure, instituting the Johnson Space Center in Houston and accelerating development of both the Saturn launch vehicles and the Apollo spacecraft. Kennedy deliberately framed the moon mission not merely as conquest, but as a measure of national character, stating it would organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Such a declaration highlighted the determination of a nation to embrace difficult goals. In doing so, it reinforced the notion that progress often arises from confronting profound challenges. The speech's enduring resonance lies in how it turned aspiration into obligation and inspired generations. Yet the lofty objective perhaps overshadowed questions of resource allocation, equal access, and broader national priorities. In learning from this, it becomes clear that any attempt to lead monumental change must navigate both the inspiring and the pragmatic. The success of the moon endeavor depended not only on bold articulation, but on sustained investment, scientific ingenuity, and collective commitment. Moreover, Kennedy's inclusive language, invoking "we" and reminding the audience of shared heritage, suggests that effective transformational leadership does not elevate the speaker, but the shared purpose. It is not the person who matters most, but the bold articulation of belief and shared endeavor that ignites change. This speech reminds us that history often hinges on moments when leadership aligns with clarity of purpose, when the articulation of challenge invites collective engagement. It underscores that while recognition may reside with individuals, the journey and triumph belong to many. This speech remains a potent illustration of how ambitious goals can redefine possibilities, demonstrating that meaningful change requires both vision and disciplined follow-through. Change leadership lessons. Kennedy's challenge to reach the moon illustrates timeless lessons for change leaders who must articulate bold aims and mobilize collective will. Leaders of change define a clear and compelling aim with a time-bound focus to galvanize collective effort and ambition. They make their goals visible and urgent, ensuring widespread commitment and aligning organizational energy behind a shared endeavor. Change leaders secure infrastructure and resources early, recognizing that visionary aims require operational capability and sustained investment. They connect their message to community values and identity, creating stronger engagement and ensuring relevance to the intended audience. Leaders of change acknowledge challenges openly, embracing difficulties as catalysts for innovation and drivers of meaningful transformational outcomes. Summary leadership quote: "Change leadership demands an audacious, compelling, shared aim, visible and urgent, grounded in infrastructure and credibility, anchored in community resonance while embracing difficulty." Change leadership responsibility 1. Articulate a change vision. Kennedy's moon speech exemplifies how change leaders must articulate visions that transcend current organizational capabilities. By declaring America would land on the moon before the decade's end, Kennedy established a time-bound objective that stretched national imagination whilst remaining achievable through sustained effort. His vision connected scientific advancement to national identity, creating emotional resonance that sustained commitment through technical setbacks and budget pressures. Kennedy's approach demonstrates that effective change visions must be simultaneously bold, audacious, and grounded inspiring collective action whilst acknowledging resource requirements and operational challenges. Contemporary change leaders must similarly craft visions that unite diverse stakeholders around shared purpose, ensuring their transformational objectives create momentum that carries organizations beyond immediate obstacles toward sustained transformation. Leadership of change. Final thoughts. Kennedy's lunar vision succeeded because it transformed national aspiration into concrete commitment with measurable outcomes. True change leadership articulates audacious goals that inspire collective action whilst establishing accountability for delivery. Find out more. Change Management Leadership, Leadership of Change, Volume 4.